Thank you all. It's a real honour to address the audience. I've met several of you, and I'm really struck by how committed and how passionate everybody is. Listening to the other political parties, you'd think they were all quite mad. That's a bit rich coming from parties that have produced Jacob Rees-Mogg, Tony Blair, Gordon Brown, George Galloway, and they say you're mad. I'm pleased to say that I've got reasonably well acquainted with Nigel Farage, and guess what? No swivelly eyes, no blazer, and he's quite polite. Well, maybe he was a bit rude to Herman Van Root service, but that's acceptable. Between you and me, I found him quite normal for a fisherman. Could this be why other parties are scared of him? Because he's normal, he says what he thinks. Now, I don't know much about professional politics, and that's one of the reasons I'm here. I'm not come here to preach, and my background is not in politics. In fact, most people's background is not in politics. I'm used to working with rock stars, film stars, showing off a bit, winning awards, signing things. So you can imagine my delight when Nigel said, please come along and be my warm-up act. To be honest, I was actually flattered. Let me explain why. There are many people that think there's something wrong with British politics, and I think they're right. That's because politicians have become more interested in politics than they have in people. You only need to look at the groups represented and underrepresented in British politics. Those underrepresented, take women for instance, less than 20% of the current Conservative Party are women. Black and minority audiences also underrepresented, so are the white working classes. And we've now got a political class of young, very political people looking to find something to do to occupy their time between graduation and Downing Street. These people know little about our history, know little about politics, and they know even less about life. And these are the people that say that UKIP is not a serious party. Well, I say to them that it's serious enough to poll on equal terms with that other incredibly serious party, the party of beards and wind farms and Liberal Democrats. The simple fact is that the UKIP voters are not the only audience that are underrepresented, but they are the biggest. That's why it seems to me that UKIP is the leading party of a nation that's lost its faith in politics as we know it. It's lost its faith because it ceased to be about people. More importantly, it ceased to be about campaigns. To me, a political representative without a campaign is a mere politician. Today seems about campaigning, and as Nigel pointed out, that's something I know a little bit about, having been involved with the Obama Memorial campaign. I know how it feels to crusade, I know how it feels to achieve, and I know how it feels to win. We won after many years of battling with the veterans on that, and they were delighted when Her Majesty the Queen and 11 senior royals were there to open that memorial. Well done. And as the old boys, the vet said, it's not for us, it's for our mates that didn't make it. Politics unites people. Campaigns unite them. Bomber Command is a good example. I can't tell you how many people from all political parties have praised the work of the campaign. There are patriots in all parties. There are people that care about the wartime generation in all parties. And there are people that remember our history in all parties. And UKIP is most commonly thought of as being anti-European. But I think that's wrong in some ways. It's identified core issues that have captured the feeling of the public on many fronts. Education, crime, defence, the economy, international trade, and a whole range of other politics. It's not anti-Europe, it's anti-politics. We don't want a political elite, whether it's at home or in Brussels. We don't want people to know little about our culture, little about our country, little about our needs, making our decisions. Now, to me, that's not nationalistic, it's not xenophobic, it's not fascist, it's actually the opposite. We believe our political system has failed because it's forgotten about people.
Yes, hear, hear.
Take the old nations R2, for example. Nobody listening there, the new rail line. We're going to destroy vast areas of outstanding natural beauty so we can get from one city to another a few minutes quicker. Billions and billions to get there a few minutes quicker, to stand in the taxi queue, or get stuck in the traffic jam, which is going to take those minutes off again. Fantastic. Don't tell me that's progress, because it's not. Real progress is working out ways of doing business on the web. You can work on the train, so it doesn't matter. You can work on your laptop. We're in a technological world. So I think that's the way forward there, is to work on stuff on the web rather than shaving minutes off city to city for billions and billions. Let's get what we have right first. And when British Rail ran the railways, it cost something like £1 billion in today's money to run. £1 billion a year. Now we have 20 companies running it, but it costs £5 billion a year. Maybe that's why our ticket prices are the highest in Europe. Our train prices are ridiculous. And that's not a Tory argument, it's not a Marxist one either, it's just common sense. Equally on Europe, you'll find UKIP votes in every political party. It's simple. I love my neighbours, but I don't want them to decorate my house. And talking of Europe, I picked this up in an old bookshop I was showing nicely earlier. It's wonderful. See if you can guess the year. I picked this up a couple of days ago in a bookshop. It's a common market quiz. You can probably tell by the paper which year it is. It says, just read these questions and write yes or no in the end column. Do you want food prices to rise by as much as possibly 5 shillings a week? Does Europe mean more to you than the British Commonwealth? Do you wish to be, do you wish to have British sovereignty and independence? Or do you want to be ruled by French, German and Italian majorities from Brussels? Do you want British farmers and farm workers to grow less of our food? Would you like the return of large-scale unemployment? And would you like the regulations issued from Brussels to affect your everyday life and to be unchangeable by our own parliament? Did your MP mention the common market in his 1959 general election address? If you put no 3 times or more, then you don't want Britain to join the common market. So write your MP now, and that is 1959. Now, I'm lucky, I get to talk to people all across the UK, not just through radio and TV, but also in person. And the great thing is they treat you like extended family. And again, guess what? Like Nigel, they're all pretty normal people. Maybe that's why they see nothing to vote for in professional politicians. They don't see them as normal. That's why you hear the despair and you hear the negativity. I was in London the other day talking with a lorry driver. And he said, this country's finished, mate. It's finished, all over. I said, and he said, it's finished. Go and ask anybody. It's done. It's all over, mate. Finished. Well, I had mixed emotions. I was sad because this is my country, and I don't want to hear it's a victory from a disenchanted stranger. I was angry that one of my countrymen felt so disillusioned, and I felt responsible. We're all responsible. Or at least we should be if we're allowed to be responsible by Brussels. Now, I don't want to see us leaking 45 million a day to enable European bureaucrats to rule our lives. There are 63 million up, so a quick divvy round, and as Del Boy would say, we'll all be millionaires by Monday. Who needs Maynard Keynes? That works out pretty easy in my life. When we can invest in young people, I think that's where we should be. The elites do not be made more elite. We don't want to become more elite than they are. And all over the world, as you may have noticed, grassroots politics is changing mainstream politics. It's true in America, it's true in Asia. Collective positivity is a very powerful force, but you only get there when you get engagement. If you want engagement, you have to do 2 things. You need to say something that is worth listening to, and you need to have a channel or a window where people can hear you. Some people are afraid of social media platforms like Twitter. Some people don't like doing Twitter. I was talking to people just now, they say, oh. Then someone explains it, suddenly they find it simple, quick and easy to use, and they wonder why they were scared. Well, politics is a bit like that. People find it scary. They see these whiz kids running around. They're confident, they're fluent. But they don't have to say anything to normal people about life, because they can't talk to normal people about life because they haven't experienced life. And my advice to you all is continue what you're doing. You may not have noticed, but you are moving the debate in UKIP. It's not just about changing the Tory party, it's about changing the way we think about politics. And as much as I still see the French as a possible strategic threat to this country in one way or another, I must quote French politician Alexandre Auguste Ledru-Rollin, easy for me to say, of course. He once said, "There go the people. I must follow them, for I am their leader." Now, I don't know whether that reminds you of anybody. It certainly can't remind you of Nigel Farage. Nigel, of course, is not French, although he does have a French-sounding surname, which means we should at least remain suspicious. And of course, it's okay not to like him. He doesn't actually want everyone to like him because he has an opinion. You can rile in, and he knows what he's saying. You know what he's going to do. You know what he's about. He's a normal guy. Real leaders are not necessarily popular, but they are respected. You won't make everyone like you if you reduce immigration, for instance. In fact, you probably upset most of Hampstead and Harriet Harman. In fact, you probably upset all of Harriet Harman. Controlling the borders of your country is not the simple equation that media like it to be. Immigration control does not equal xenophobia, it equals common sense. It also equals compassion. If we want our young people to climb ladders, we must allow them access to the bottom rung. At the moment, they can't get their foot on that rung because of the huge numbers of Eastern Europeans on their way here. Oh, by the way, no other country wants British criminals, so why should we have theirs? Now, I love other parts of the world. I've travelled around the globe, done talks, broadcasting, played sport around the world, and I've been to some wonderful countries. I love the culture, I love the food, the achievements, the language, the history. And in the next 2 weeks during the Olympics, the East End will welcome over 150 nationalities. That's almost 50 less nationalities than it welcomes during the other 50 weeks of the year. And we are, of course, a multicultural country. But we can't just squash in people all the time. We're small. We're an overcrowded island with 2.5 million unemployed. It's not prejudice. It's about looking after the people that are already here. So let's set aside once and for all this posh, this palpable nonsense that controlled immigration equates with racism. It doesn't. And it's time the fatuous, nonsensical myth was laid to rest. We have a crisis at home, yet David Cameron's team already working on budgets for the 2014-2020 programme. We'll see us pouring money into the European Regional Development Fund, European Social Fund, European Agricultural Fund for Rural Development, and European Maritime and Fisheries Fund. They're talking about the wrong things. We should be talking about youth and not the future of Europe. We should be talking the Commonwealth, not the common market. Australia, Canada and India are looking 100 years forward. Europe is looking 100 years backwards. This week we learned for the first time since the early 1970s the EU is no longer the UK's main export market. As Michael Ashcroft himself said this week, the government's coalition shouldn't be with members of the Commons, but with members of the country. Forgive me, Nigel, but Nigel Farage is an unlikely hero. That's because he's not quite normal. Well, he's fairly normal. He wasn't born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Okay, he's an older lady, and that's fine, but he didn't knife his brother for the top job like one of the Borsches. As far as I know. He hasn't, and he wouldn't have set his party out for a cheap deal that would destroy their long-term electoral prospects. He has, though, challenged our Prime Minister. He's done this as a genuine representative of a silent majority in this country. They're not politicians, they're people wanting a just, committed, passionate leader. And it's time the people were heard. Carpe diem, seize the day. Thank you.